Let's talk about choosing a topic or a theme for your classes.
I'm Jenay, and I've owned Lake Tahoe Yoga since 2008. I've been teaching classes since 2005 in the Rajahata Yoga lineage. And one of the main aspects to teaching Rajahata Yoga is having the ability to choose a theme or a Dharmic topic for every class. And every one of the classes that I teach in the Rajahata lineage includes a brief Dharmic conversation or a theme, a philosophy to focus upon. Some teachers, my teacher, will talk for anywhere from 3 to 15 minutes depending on the topic. Sometimes it turns into more of a conversation, a satsang, if you will. And sometimes it's just a brief expression, maybe 2 to 5 minutes of a particular topic. And so today I wanted to give you some advice and share with you the way in which I choose my topics. First of all, it's important that you're organized, and everybody organizes in a different way. I like to use a Google Drive document in order to list every month and every topic that I'm using. I used to just have a topic per month, but then I started dividing it up by weeks, and that helped me a whole lot more. So whatever it is that you use, whether it's a notebook, a calendar, handwritten, or an online resource, you'll want to find something that provides you with the ability to keep the information organized and provide you with a quick reference. Now, I have a bit of an attachment to having something that it's tangible. I like to write sticky notes and be able to throw them away. I like having a printed paper that's always available for me to look at. So even though I'm using an online resource, I use Google Docs, as I said, I also print out my topics so that I can quickly reference them at any point in time. Now, some people have an intuitive sense of what they feel like they want to talk about. Some people can look at various astrological signs or energetic signatures or events that are going on in the world. But generally, what I tend to do is call upon those things as well as what do I want to learn more about? And that's one of the keys to creating Dharma topics is don't talk about what you already know. You're naturally probably incorporating that into your classes already if you're already using themes. So instead, what is it that you want to learn about? Because this is an opportunity for you to learn more, to dive deeper, and as you learn, you get to share your learnings, and that's when we actually learn the most. You know the saying, right? You learn the most when you're taking the test, not when you're studying for it. So think about topics that you want to learn more about, and you might keep a notebook or a running list, perhaps a Google Doc, or something somewhere where you're writing down, what is it I want to learn more about? What topics do I want to dive more deeply into? And that'll provide a general resource for you to draw upon. Now, I've chosen topics from a variety of resources. We spent an entire year studying the Yoga Sutra and going through each one of the 4 books. We've also studied the yamas and the niyamas. And then I've also dove into the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, choosing various topics in there, and in fact reading the entire Pradipika. Maybe not every single shloka, but choosing the general topics to go through. And as I've continually deepened my study, of course, the Dharmic topics I choose have become more and more refined. So for example, we spent an entire year just focusing on the Shakti Bija mantra. So diving more and more deeply into the topic of mantra, and in fact refining my knowledge and everyone who is joining me, their knowledge of these mantra. So keeping that list then provides you with this opportunity to dive more deeply, for example, into something like the Yoga Sutra, wherein maybe you read that as part of your 200-hour, but now you want to go more deeply into it, learn a little bit more, explain a little bit further, not only to yourself, but to others. So next, now that you've got this running list of topics and you're thinking about what you want to dive more deeply into, it's important now to think about what is it? What singular focus do you want to have for the month, the year, whatever it is? I like to focus for an entire year on one general topic, break down that topic into 12 subjects, and then I take it even further and I break down each of those 12 subjects into 4 topics. And that provides me with a full year, and then a general topic for each week that now has specified or giving me more intentional focus as I go through that larger monthly topic, and of course that overarching or umbrella of the year. So for example, for the year that we studied the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I divided up the entire year based on the specific topics discussed in the Pradipika. January was Hatha Yoga in general, discussing the various aspects of what makes Hatha Yoga a practice, or what aspects are included in the practice of Hatha Yoga. And then I broke down those practices. February was Kriya, and I broke down Kriya into various practices. March was Shatkarma. April, we focused on Mudra, and so on and so forth throughout the year. And then to take it further, I broke each week down. In week 1 of January, we focused just on standing poses, and I went through the various standing poses that were described in the Pradipika. It gave me an asana focus as well as a philosophical focus, and I was able to tie those things together. Okay, now some of the stuff that you talk about will come out of your head, right? You've studied enough, you've practiced, you know this stuff fairly well. But then, of course, there's the diving more deeply aspect. And this is where your resources come in handy. Don't ever hesitate to use resources that you've used multiple times in the past. One of the things that I forget is that even though I practice every day, I read every day, I'm using these resources every day, and I'm sharing this information, not all of my practitioners are doing the same. And therefore, I might end up repeating myself many, many times, saying the same thing. But my practitioners are hearing it again and again in new ways. So even though I might be using the Hatha Yoga Pradipika for an entire year, and I maybe reference the same shloka multiple times, they might not be hearing it in the same way each time, particularly if I'm associating a new topic with that shloka, or I'm drawing from that shloka in a new way. So look around in your own library, what you already have, and revisit those texts, revisit your notes, go back to the things that are familiar, read them again. And my practitioners, my teacher trainees, they will tell you that books like the Yoga Sutra are meant to be read over and over again. Every time I pick up the Yoga Sutra, there's something new in there. Every time I pick up the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there's something new there. Every time I read the Yoga Vasishta, there's something new in there. And even modern books, there's always something new to be referenced or to be accessed in those texts. So look back at what you already have as resources.
One of the signs that you're using your resources effectively is that you've made marks, you have dog-eared, and if you're like me, you have tabs. And you'll notice my tabs are even labeled.
Whatever technique you use in order to be able to quickly access information, to remind yourself where information is, use it. I love those little fluorescent tabs, and I always write in pencil because sometimes I'll change my notation, sometimes I'll have to edit it. I also love highlighters, so all of my books are dog-eared, all of my books are highlighted, they all have little tabs in them so that I can quickly reference. And anyone that's gone through teacher training with me will tell you my binder is just full of tabs and sticky notes and highlights and new pages added in, and I do my best, I do own a 3-hole punch, to make sure that I'm adding pages, adjusting, and I'm constantly editing. As I learn new things, I'm making new notes. I'm adding to that information, I'm adding to the knowledge, and I'm gaining wisdom. And that's what's most important about building your theme, your Dharma talk, is it's not about teaching others, it's about what you're learning for yourself. Now, unless you went through a unique teacher training, you probably had to practice a lot, making sure that you knew how to instruct the postures, making sure that you knew the alignment, the specific sequence, and you probably spent a lot of time memorizing this information. The same goes for these themes, for these Dharma talks. Practice, read your information, make notes. Maybe you have a little spiral bound notebook and you write down all your Dharma talks in there. Not only is this great to reference while you're talking and expressing this information to your practitioners, but you can go back to it because, like I said, they're not going to remember every word that you said or that you even did this talk before. And you'll create this great collection of reference materials that you can go back to. And if you think about it on a more grand scale, this can then give you reference for when you want to develop a workshop or a presentation or a lecture and go more deeply into these topics. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this brief little sharing of information helps you in developing Dharma talks and themes. I'm always happy to work one-on-one and provide my services. So you can reach out to me through any of my businesses, Bliss Experiences, Lake Tahoe Yoga, or the Realignment Coach. I look forward to sharing the practice with you in the future. Namaste.